Pause 2s. Before the cannons roared and the ships sailed into battle, the stage for the War of 1812 was set by a series of quiet, simmering tensions. The young United States, still in its infancy, found itself caught between the ambitions of European powers and the harsh realities of a burgeoning nation. The seeds of conflict were sown in the halls of diplomacy and the fields of commerce. Pause 2s. The British, embroiled in their own struggles against Napoleon, imposed harsh trade restrictions that strangled American commerce. Ships were seized, and American sailors were forced into British service, a practice known as impressment. These affronts to sovereignty and economic stability stirred a deep-seated resentment. The American spirit, still fresh with the fervor of independence, could not abide these indignities. Pause 2s. Yet it was not just the actions of the British that led to war. Within the United States, a fervent group of politicians, known as the War Hawks, pushed for confrontation. They believed that only through conflict could the nation assert its rights and expand its territories. Their voices grew louder, drowning out calls for peace and diplomacy. Pause 2s. As tensions escalated, the country found itself on the brink. The whispers of war became a chorus, a somber prelude to the conflict that would soon unfold. This was the quiet before the storm, a moment of reflection before the fury of battle. The War of 1812 was not just born out of immediate grievances, but from years of accumulated strife and the unyielding desire for respect and autonomy. Pause 2s. And so, the stage was set. A young nation, still finding its place in the world, stood ready to face an empire. The War of 1812 was about to begin, and its impact would resonate far beyond the battlefield. The American Revolution, the Civil War. These names echo through history. But what about the War of 1812? This conflict, sandwiched between these titans of history, often fades into the background. It becomes a footnote, a whisper of the past. Yet, this forgotten war holds tales of courage and strategic blunders. The War of 1812 pitted the fledgling United States against the might of the British Empire. Imagine a young nation, barely 4 decades old, daring to challenge the greatest naval power on Earth. Within this struggle, we discover the spirit of a nation unwilling to back down. This was a war for respect, for autonomy, for the right to exist as a free and independent nation. And its echoes can still be felt today, shaping the relationship between the United States, Great Britain, and Canada. The road to war is seldom straight. The War of 1812 was no different. A complex web of grievances entangled the United States and Great Britain. At the heart of the conflict lay the issue of maritime rights. The British Navy began intercepting American merchant ships, impressing American sailors into service. Adding fuel to the fire was the issue of westward expansion. The United States, eager to expand its territory, looked towards the lands west of the Appalachian Mountains. The British, fearing American encroachment, began supplying arms and support to Native American tribes resisting American expansion. The War of 1812 was a conflict of dramatic contrasts. It was fought on land and sea, from the icy waters of the Great Lakes to the sweltering swamps of the South. One of the early shocks of the war came at sea. The USS Constitution, nicknamed Old Ironsides, engaged the HMS Guerriere in a fierce battle. The Constitution, with its superior firepower, pounded the Guerriere into submission. This stunning victory sent shockwaves through both nations. On land, the war was a different story. The United States Army, poorly trained and ill-equipped, suffered a series of humiliating defeats. In the Chesapeake Bay, a young American lawyer named Francis Scott Key witnessed the bombardment of Fort McHenry, inspiring him to pen the Star-Spangled Banner. Every war produces its share of heroes. The War of 1812 was no exception. One such hero was Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry. Tasked with building a fleet on the shores of Lake Erie, Perry faced daunting odds. In a pivotal battle off Put-in Bay, Perry's fleet engaged a British squadron. Perry's flagship, the USS Lawrence, was battered, but he rode through gunfire to the USS Niagara and continued the fight. Inspired by Perry's tenacity, the American fleet rallied, capturing the British squadron. Dolley Madison, wife of President James Madison, refused to flee as British troops approached. She calmly gathered important documents and artifacts, saving them from destruction. Ordinary Americans from all walks of life displayed remarkable bravery and patriotism. The War of 1812, though often overshadowed, left an indelible mark on the United States. It was a war that tested the young nation's resolve and ultimately forged a stronger sense of national identity. The most significant outcome was the confirmation of American independence. The United States proved it could stand toe-to-toe with the mightiest military power. The war also had a profound impact on American politics. The Federalist Party, which had opposed the war, was discredited and faded. This paved the way for leaders like Andrew Jackson and Henry Clay. The shared experience of sacrifice and triumph contributed to a growing sense of American identity. The echoes of the War of 1812 reverberate even today, shaping the relationship between the United States, Great Britain, and Canada. One of the most enduring legacies is the peaceful border between the United States and Canada. The Treaty of Ghent, which ended the war, established the principle of status quo ante bellum. This laid the foundation for a peaceful and cooperative relationship. The War of 1812 also played a pivotal role in Canadian national identity. For Canadians, it was a defining moment, a struggle for survival. The victory fostered a sense of unity and patriotism among Canadians. The war solidified the special relationship between the United States and Great Britain. Despite its significance, the War of 1812 remains a relatively obscure chapter in American history. Often overshadowed by the American Revolution and the Civil War, it is a conflict that is often misunderstood or simply forgotten. The War of 1812 lacks a clear-cut narrative. Unlike the American Revolution or the Civil War, the War of 1812 ended in a stalemate. There were no epic battles on the scale of Gettysburg or Yorktown. The War of 1812 is often portrayed as a sideshow to the Napoleonic Wars. While it is true that the war was sparked by events in Europe, it quickly took on a life of its own. The War of 1812, though often relegated to the margins of history, deserves our attention and remembrance. It offers valuable lessons about the complexities of war and peace and the enduring power of human courage. By remembering the War of 1812, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that have shaped the United States. We learn about the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us. The War of 1812 reminds us that history is not a static narrative. By revisiting the past, we gain new perspectives on the present and equip ourselves to navigate the challenges of the future. The War of 1812, though often overlooked, stands as a pivotal moment in American history. It was a conflict that tested the young nation's mettle, shaped its identity, and left an enduring legacy. From the halls of Congress to the shores of Tripoli, the echoes of 1812 reverberate through time. They remind us of the fragility of peace, the importance of national unity, and the enduring human spirit. As we look back on this forgotten conflict, let us remember its lessons, honor its heroes, and strive to create a future worthy of their sacrifice. The War of 1812 may be a distant memory, but its impact on the United States, Canada, and the world is undeniable.